Yeah, I wanted to talk about the Mid South Territory, aka the UWF. The UWF started in the 1950s. It was known as the NWA Tri-State Territory. It was run by Leroy McGurk. It covered the area of Oklahoma, Louisiana, Mississippi, and it was the junior heavyweight territory. And one of his biggest stars was Danny Hodge, junior heavyweight amateur champion in wrestling. But it was never that big until this man came through, and this man was a former football player, almost was in the NFL. His name was Cowboy Bill Watts. Cowboy Bill Watts was the biggest star in the area. It was like Vern Gagne in Minnesota or Fritz Von Erich in Texas, same way. Watts went to different territory. He left McGurk's territory and he went to different territories after that. And he went to New York for Vince Senior, San Francisco for Roy Shire, um, Florida for Eddie Graham, and all that stuff. But when he came back to the Mid South area, he wanted to buy the territory. So he bought the territory, expanded it from Oklahoma. He expanded it to different areas, and he immediately started making changes. And one of the changes that he made was that he was going to include more African Americans in the roster because the area, especially Louisiana, was heavily African American. And one thing Bill Watts had learned while he was in New York, was in WWE, was that they responded to ethnic demographics, and he points to the case of when he wrestled Bobo Brazil in James Dudley's area, from wrestling promoter out in D.C. Um, so many African Americans turned out. So he was going to do the same thing. He was going to promote the Mexicans in Houston. He brought out Paul Bosch. And he was going to promote the blacks in Louisiana. So, to do this, he had stars like Ray Candy, Ernie Ladd, and the most famous star of the area, the Hulk Hogan, if you will, of Mid South Territory, the Junkyard Dog. Who that gonna beat that dog? Um, yeah. In 1986, Bill Watts had the inkling to go national. What it first happened was he was put on the Turner station because Vince McMahon's WWF product bombed so hard on the Turner station after they lost Georgia Championship Wrestling, which had brought TBS to the dance. They needed something else, and they called Bill Watts. And Bill Watts' product, Mid-South product, was so good on that station that he wanted to go national. So in 1986, he stopped using the NWA champion and he crowned his own champion. He never really was a member of the NWA, he just used the NWA champion. But he crowned his own champion in Dr. Dutch Steve Williams, who was another mainstay of the area. Some of the people that Watts helped put on Sting, like I said, the Junkyard Dog, Doc Journey, Missy Hyatt, and announcer Jim Ross. Some of the famous angles that they did, Freebirds blinding the JYD, and uh, the Russians, Crusher Khrushchev, and who was Barry Darso. Ivan Koloff covering Bill Watts with a bloody Russian flag, and that was a famous angle that they did. In 1988, there was an oil bust in the area, and this caused a real recession. People just didn't have the money to spend to go to see wrestling matches anymore. So Even though Watts' territory, unlike other territories that with the national expansion of WWF, they weren't doing so well, like AWA. Watts' UWF territory was doing just fine, but the oil bust, caused them to go under. So they had two choices. They could either sell to Jim Crockett or they could sell to Vince McMahon, one of the two national products at the time. They chose to sell to Jim Crockett, and Crockett didn't really use he used some of the stars that came in from UWF, like Sting and the Steiner Brothers, and Dr. Death, Steve Williams for a while, but he really didn't use that many stars. And, I'd say Mid-South / UWF's greatest legacy is that they were the first to pioneer African American stars, really. You had Luther Lindsay in Memphis, you had Big Sweet Daddy Siki in the Calgary area, but in the Mid-South territory, you had so many African Americans. Natural Butch Reed, who was known in UWF as Hacksaw Butch Reed. Dark Journey, Ray Kennedy, Ernie Ladd, who was the first booker first black booker ever in history. So, and Watts would later carry on this legacy when he went to work for WCW in '92, when he made Ron Simmons the first black WCW champion, or first champion of a national promotion. So, and then ironically, they fired him for being racist. How about that? In 2009, WWE purchased the rights to Mid-South's footage by inducting Bill Watts into the Hall of Fame and releasing a Best of Mid-South DVD. Another quick mention, match I wanted to mention was the Coal Miners Glove match between Hacksaw Jim Duggan and former Rat Pack partner Ted DiBiase. This is a very awesome match. If you can watch this either on the Mid-South DVD that WWE put out or independently on YouTube, please watch this. Mid-South Wrestling. Knockdown, drag out, no shit wrestling. Voiced by Jim Ross. Just go check this stuff out. It's phenomenal stuff. Also, the match between Ted DiBiase and Ric Flair is phenomenal for the NWA Championship too. Later.